As you can see, while I'm shut in and working from home, the editor's desk has moved to my basement treadmill. So thank you for watching the May edition of the AJP Heart and Circulatory Physiology video table of contents, or from the editor's treadmill. We know that this is a difficult time for most of the world and for you as investigators and teachers. If you're watching this video, it means even more to us given the stress on laboratories at both academic and industry labs. I hope you take the time to look over this month's issue and know that we are here to help with your efforts to publish your work in any way we can. This is just a sampling of the outstanding work that's been published this month, so let's go ahead and take a peek. In one of our premier guidelines in cardiovascular research series, Poole and colleagues provide a primer on best practices for exercising animals depending upon species and questions asked. Depending upon the animal selected, the energetic demands and flux through the oxygen transport system can increase 2 orders of magnitudes, from rest to maximal exercise. Thus, animals in health and disease present the scientists with flexible, powerful, and in some instances, purpose-built tools to explore the mechanistic basis for physiological function and help unveil the causes for pathological or age-related exercise intolerance. These guidelines present the most commonly selected animal models and recommendations for their use in obtaining reproducible results, and crucially, translate state-of-the-art techniques and procedures developed on humans to those in animals. This will be a major resource for exercise physiologists. In a review by Ogilvy et al., the evaluation of diastolic function in models of heart failure is discussed. There is a need for sensitivity, accuracy, and precision in the hemodynamic assessment of diastolic function. In this review, the authors summarized the underlying principles of diastolic function, dividing diastole into 2 phases, relaxation and filling. They identified parameters used to comprehensively evaluate diastolic function by hemodynamics, clarify how each parameter is obtained, and considered the advantages and limitations associated with each measure. The review provides fundamental knowledge for users to succeed in troubleshooting and guidelines for evaluating diastolic function by hemodynamics in experimental models of heart failure. Chbosky et al. Review the role of bioactive lipids, fatty acid derivatives that exert their effects through signaling pathways that modulate the microvasculature. The purpose of this review is to discuss how biologically active lipids, specifically prostanoids, epoxyacetotrienoic acids, sphingolipids, and lysophospholipids, contribute to vascular function and signaling within the endothelium. Methods for quantifying lipids are briefly discussed, followed by an overview of the various lipid families. The crosstalk in signaling between classes of lipids are discussed in the context of vascular disease. Finally, the potential clinical implications of these lipid families is highlighted. South, Diz, and Chappell discuss the role of ACE2 in binding the novel SARS coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, an important and timely discussion during our current pandemic. The mechanism for SARS-CoV-2 infection is the requisite binding of the virus to the membrane-bound form of angiotensin-converting enzyme 2, or ACE2, and internalization of the complex by the host cell. Recognition of ACE2 is the co-receptor for the coronavirus has prompted new therapeutic approaches to block the enzyme or reduce its expression to prevent the cellular entry and SARS-CoV-2 infection in tissues that express ACE2, including lung, heart, kidney, brain, and gut. The discussion opens up new areas for investigation of the role of coronaviruses in mediating cardiovascular disease as the balance is tipped to the pro-inflammatory Ang2 axis. Et al. Examined the role of nitric oxide and S-nitrosothiol in cardiovascular protection through their direct inhibition of cardiac G-protein-coupled receptor kinase 2 activity via S-nitrosylation of GRK2 at cysteine 340 in aging. This maintains GPCR homeostasis, including beta-adrenergic receptors, through curbing receptor GRK2-mediated desensitization. Although young adult GRK2 cysteine 342S mice show no overt phenotype, they now report that at these mice age, they develop significant cardiovascular dysfunction due to the loss of S-nitrosylthiol-mediated GRK2 regulation. This pathological phenotype is apparent as early as 12 months of age. The data demonstrate that a chronic and global increase in GRK2 activity is sufficient to cause cardiovascular remodeling and dysfunction. In an intriguing letter to the editor, Abbasi et al. Review the role of ACE2 in mediating SARS-CoV-2 infection of the heart. They outline a mechanism and pathway relying on the spike protein of the virus that can result in cardiac dysfunction. Finally, Hansel, Keehan, Gaffney, and Zucker undertook a study to address the concern that author compliance with American Physiological Society journal instructions to authors for data presentation in manuscript figures was inadequate. Common instances of noncompliance were omitted molecular weight markers for immunoblots and bar graphs lacking individual data points. Over the period of 5 months, 32 first revision manuscripts were enrolled in a figure reviewer program. In response to a survey, 100% of respondents stated that peer review was performed in a timely fashion despite the additional figure reviewer. When asked whether the figure reviewer experience had any impact on how one would present data in manuscript figures in future submissions, 65% of authors and 83% of figure reviewers said yes. 63% of authors responding agreed that the overall quality of their figures was improved after revising based on the figure reviewer comments. Quite a workout. Thank you again for watching. Please contact us if you need guidance about submitting your work. If you have any exciting data that may not be a complete story, consider the Rapid Reports article type. We welcome your input and suggestions. Please contact for any information. We'll see you next month, hopefully under much better circumstances.